Okay, welcome everyone. Today is Sunday, March 15th, 8:04. We're probably gonna get some more people hopefully joining in, but we don't care. We'll do this even if there's no viewers watching. This is recorded too, so it'll go up on YouTube like the one yesterday, which, shout out to everybody for joining yesterday. It was an amazing conversation. If you guys haven't checked it out, go and check it out on YouTube. I'm now posting these on YouTube, but I think today we'll probably do this in a different style as we get more people to come in. Please repost this space and share it. We're going to be talking about some esoteric stuff with marketing, personal development, being a sim, and starting off this week good. So yeah, to get started, I hope everyone's grateful for the fact that your lights are working, your electricity works, and the food that you're eating was given to you and gone through multiple processes, and everything that you have to access this space right now is a blessing in itself to be here and to appreciate. So yeah, we're gonna bring good vibes during this space and talk about some cool stuff. So I think what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna lead with like a topic, with a little like yap sesh before we go into inviting speakers up, like either one by one or two people at a time or three people at a time. So if you got something to say, you want to bring something with value, please do. We're open to anything except for talking about like demonic spiral ChatGPT stuff. So, I wanted to start this off and say, you might have heard me say I'm a sim before, a sim, like a simulation. And I think we are at a point right now where everyone is more online than they are in real life. And I'm someone who has literally my whole life relies on the internet, making content, sharing things with people, creating communities. And I consider myself to be a sim because of the fact that I'm literally a character on the internet and my life relies on that. So, with that said, maximizing every aspect of putting myself in front of a microphone or in front of a camera and then getting it on the internet, providing value to people, and anything really that is productive, valuable, or problem solving that has not been tangibly converted into some type of format that can be blasted out into the metaverse, then it's doing me nothing. It's doing me no good, especially with AI these days. So, as a sim, these spaces, these X spaces, if you also identify as a sim, you're someone who, this is your bread and butter, your persona online, then you probably can relate to this stuff. So, we'll talk about, is this stuff, good for you? Is this the new normal that all of a sudden now we have these phones and our screen times are so high, even if you're productive, even if you're making content, if you're joining spaces, you're participating, is this good? When you look at Opal and your screen time says like, you're going to spend 15 years of your life on your phone, or are we going to say like, yeah, that was a, a good integration and made our lives better? Or did it just release chemicals in our human brains that allowed for satisfaction in the moment, and we never actually even got to experience real life, real meaning, real connections, real stuff? So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about the internet, and we're also going to be talking about the things to avoid if you are living this sim life. You're going against other sims, and you got people influencing you, manipulating you, hating on you, all this stuff. So yeah, that's what I think we'll start with. We'll make this a little spiritual, a little esoteric, and I'm going to invite Los up here if you want to speak. And so obviously, Los, you have children and a family, and so a lot of your life is not online, but a lot of your livelihood relies with the fact that you click buttons on a computer, in order to show the world who you are and service them. And so Um, if you're able to chat at all, I'd love to hear your take on being a sim, dude. Okay, let's see if he joins. All right. Well, he has access. Let's see, invite to speak. If he doesn't accept it, then uh, we'll go ahead and call Josh up here.
Hey, Preston.
Yo, Josh, what's good, man?
What's up, man? Yeah, so on the topic um of like distractions and with spirituality and everything that we have going on right now, um I was just wondering, like, there are so many distractions that we have when we go on social media and we're scrolling, and like a lot of things come up. What ways do you like keep yourself from, falling into that loop of constant, because I feel like we all can just constantly look at our phones and doom scroll. Is there anything you do spiritually maybe that keeps your mind from falling to that space?
You know, I just did recently make a video about this on YouTube the other day, um, about the steps that you set up on your phone with Opal, but it's more of a conceptualizing the fact that you're like a victim of algorithmic exploitation from other creators that are, running clipping campaigns or poly market that, you heard yesterday that, obviously it's not bad. It's his livelihood, but he promotes Kalshi and, everything has an element of engineered consent to it in media. So there's always some agenda. There's always some goal. There's always these advertisements. So when you're someone who becomes a marketer, learns marketing, creates content, you start to understand the engineering that goes into writing or saying things that allow other people to take action. And so, when you become the producer and then you start consuming, you really recognize like you're filling everybody else's pockets. And so, at the end of the day, it is just some type of process in your brain that's just rewarding you, and yeah, I think it's really bad for you, man. So I prefer Twitter, bro. If I'm gonna be
Yeah.
doing some type of scrolling, I'm on Twitter. But yeah, definitely using
I switched to
Opal.
Twitter myself and started using Opal, and I've noticed like huge impact just in overall what I've been consuming. Every time I go back to like Instagram or TikTok now, I'm like, man, this is all just like you said, other marketers and things. I mean, it's still on X, you still see that, but the X is a lot more. I don't know the
Yeah,
word.
I mean, I was
Invited.
saying to my friend earlier, especially with synthetic authorship and AI copywriting, and everyone now, infusing these agendas into language models, and on Twitter now, people don't have to say stuff, so it can just get by. That something like X Spaces will be really valuable. That'll be where the human connection is, where people can actually talk and debate each other and realize. Like, I think this is the new way to participate in your free time online. If I would consider myself a sim, I'd say there's nothing better in my free time to do than to use my social network profile that's related to my source of income to listen and participate in active conversations that are being held on this app. So for me, it's really like a logic thing.
Yeah.
If I'm going to be living my life, I don't want to be vicariously living through other people. I used to, and this is something you do subconsciously. ISO speed. You watch all ISO speed, and all of a sudden you're the one traveling.
Hmm.
You watch Marlon pick up all these girls, and you think you're Marlon. You watch Clav go and do this, and you think you start smashing a hammer on your face.
Yeah.
It's that mimetic Girardian mimesis that we were talking about, where all of your desires are influenced by models in society, and they're hidden usually. But you can pick models
Yeah.
that are respectable, honorable models, and you can
It
unconsciously
shows that.
imitate them instead. But yeah, social media. They said in the book I'm reading or I read called Mimesis, the guy talked to Peter Thiel, and Peter Thiel actually ended up turning I think it was $50 million into like a billion or something, because his one saying was, "I bet on mimesis." When he heard about Facebook, he was the first ever person to invest in Facebook privately because he
Wow.
knew the psychology behind the mimetic theory of desire. He said, "This platform is mimesis. This is models that live inside of our real world, and this is where we can sell things." This is what being a sim is. Being a sim is now you are a model of influence in a world where more people spend time online than in person. It's chronic, and people make their shopping decisions. People make live vicariously through, instead of actors, now creators, all in this mimetic cesspool that's now amplified with algorithms and AI technology. And to say that you're not going to participate in this, and that during this incarnation, in this lifetime, that you're not going to be one who leverages these tools and technologies to get your voice out there, to get your face out there, and say thoughts that other people have that they just don't say, that no one said yet, because that's what they say about the collective, unconscious, and that we're all really the same symbols and everything, is that the things that you want to go and talk about, make content about, or the thoughts you have, other people have those thoughts too. You're just the first one to say the thought and put it into a TikTok or put it into a tweet. So the deepest thoughts you have that you like don't want to share are actually the ones that everyone you share with everybody else, and no one says it. So I think there's no other option in this society than to become a sim. And this doesn't mean LARPing. I got this guy that used to work for me, Aaron. Hopefully, he should be in here. He thought it was like a trend that he was going to post a video about LARPing. And LARPing is not a manifestation either of trying to become someone notable. Because to become notable in the space, you have to put in the work. You got to join these X spaces. You got to network. You got to create content. You got to be a sim, a real sim. You can't just show up and fake it. People will know. So yeah, that's I think the topic for today we should talk about, is that this chronic online culture with subcultures that are inside of it, that we now identify with these models. And some of you guys maybe listening to this are being influenced by hidden models. Maybe I'm your model, but or you are a model for other people. But yeah, I would say once you understand Girardian Mimesis, you're immediately deleting the apps and using them on your computer instead, if you really want to use them.
I think a lot of us are already fallen into like the the mentality of like looking at these other people and seeing them as models. I'm curious to know, like, once you're in that, how do you? Because you were talking about this
Well, it's
earlier.
like you saw me as a model. So those of you that don't know, Josh was my first case study
Yeah.
inside of my
Hmm.
community that I built 3 years ago. So I've been building llmacademy.com, plug that in, for 3 years now. And he was my first case study that was like, holy fuck, like I'm actually building something that just took somebody from an intern to pretty much a fractional COO, 2.5xing his income. And I hadn't even never talked to him. And here I was on a call with him when I was at the high level summit. I got on a coaching call, and he told me this. And yeah, it's like, I at one point was a model for you. And so then we start working together, you realize I'm a real person, right? So now it's like, all right, as we were talking before, we can inspire each other. But another example would be today on TikTok, I saw that Alex Eubank followed me. Now everyone knows Alex Eubank. Like, how the hell? I've had like Daniel Caesar like some of my posts before. I've had you'd be surprised who's on TikTok. They say TikTok's about audience, but I've had all these people that Shaquille O'Neal's son DM me. He said I put him on Professor Yang, Shaq's son, and so I saw Alex Eubank follow me. I'm like, what a small world. Like, these guys are normal people. This is probably the most prominent, notable person on TikTok that has ever followed me. and I would usually freak out about it, but now it's almost like depressing in a sense because if you're someone who has like a lot of followers too, you start to just realize how like I'm not saying it's uh, easy to gain an audience, become a sim, but you realize that like these people are attainable, they are reachable, and now you are like in direct comparison of yourself with these other people as an indicator of your own success, even though now they're not on a pedestal and you actually have the chance of becoming someone similar to them. So, yeah, that's the concept of, let's say, meeting your heroes, for example. But in some cases, like with you and me, you're able to, turn it into a positive influence.
Yeah. And now I'm becoming a model for other people. It seems like, and
Exactly. Yeah.
it's just like carries on through this the spirit in a way.
Yeah. The only thing is, though, you're not on socials, right? So we got you on X now. You're co-hosting the space with me,
Yeah.
and you do have some socials and everything, some posts, but um, you've obviously got a full-time job. But we were just talking before. You have your 9 to 5, but your 5 to 9 should be simming, but not consuming, but putting your voice out there, your thoughts out there, and
Like,
sharing value with other people and connecting online.
what are some good examples like of how one can go from modeling to being a sim themselves?
Well, a model would just be a model in real life, but like a internet model is different. So pre-internet era, like your models were like your dad or someone in your community. But now with the internet, your models are the whole world, and the algorithm decides your models, right? So
Yeah.
um, that's where filtering your feeds and all that, or just stop getting off your feeds and everything. But yeah, to be a sim just means to be a model that is represented in a quantified format through social network platforms. So you're still a model of influence, but now you are taking you're filming and you're recording moments of your life and progress and value, and then you're sharing them to the platforms and making an impact at a larger scale than you ever could because now you're on the internet.
Yeah.
Los, what's up, bro? You want to say something?
I think you kind of nailed it. I mean, I think at the end of the day, you can kind of be the drug addict or the drug dealer if you like actually look at like a lot of these like famous rappers and stuff like that. They were like, now doing whatever. They're like, oh yeah, I never did my shit. Right? You never get high on your own supply. Like, I don't consume fucking social media. I'm on it. Like my wife even gets mad at me. She's like, I sent you DMs. I was like, I don't fuck with that. She's like, why? I was like, it's just there's no I can't get in it. You know what I mean? Like I have to like you use it as a platform, you use it as a storytelling situation, you use it for your benefit, or you use it to like putrefy your fucking brain, soul, and mind. And it does, if you're spending most of your, like, if you actually look at people, they're like, the ones that are crushing it, make content and drop it. The ones that want something, follow a lot of content that these people make and drop, right? Like if you want to like start making your own thing, learn who's doing what, educate yourself, tell your own story and push it out. But most of the content that I consume is usually podcast or it's written form. Either it's a book or it's a longer kind of like thesis type of thing for like from like a LinkedIn or something like that, or it's a YouTube, or that's it because it's more educational. If you spend your time like scrolling, you're just you're rotting your brain, you're wasting your time. And it's a way to tell yourself back in the day, because I've been doing this for a long time, people would buy like $7 bullshit courses and this and that, and they would, same as like people now, right? Like you join these groups, the school groups and this and that, the free ones and all that kind of stuff. And it's a way to tell yourself you're doing something so you don't give yourself the like reality and like the structure of admitting that you're not doing anything.
Yeah, it's like in today's society, you could scroll, or you could be a co-host on an X space, or you could join an X space and you could give your voice and opinion and commingle and build a following. You could take your original thoughts and post them. You could, like, if you ever have gotten locked in one day and like made a really good video and you didn't even want to wait like another day to post it, so you sat there and then you started editing it and turning it into clips, and you were 5 hours in, you then you post on TikTok, then you see the feed again and you're like, all of these people are like me, like what I just did. So like while everyone else, like while I'm consuming, there's all this production that's going in that I just did myself. It took me 4 hours, 5 hours. I withdrew myself from it. Now I look at it, I'm like, this would be insane to like sit here and watch a bunch of curated, media from people that just did like what I have done, when instead I could sit here and just do that over again and create my own media. Like once you start creating your own media, watching other media, it starts to influence how you make your media. You compare yourself to it. I was saying, no matter how many people join this X space, whether it's five, whether it's 100, I'm not gonna look. I'm not look. It shouldn't change my style of communication based on the amount of people that are in it. So, uh, yeah. But Los, what do you think about
I
like?
agree. I agree with that real quick. Like, like we did one yesterday and started the same. I think we got off at like 1 o'clock in the morning. And, there was like, I think like at one point there was like 20, 30 people on. It was like the first one we had ever done. And, but it's so much value and compound content got done from there. Like instead of like him and I, Preston and I could have just talked for hours or scrolled social and desired something. Instead we wanted to deliver something, right? And everybody's the same. Like what he's saying on like the Alex Eubank stuff, like Alex is the exact same person as everybody else. The only difference is he has more balls than most people, and people desire that, but they don't try to like go deliver the same effort that he is doing.
Yeah, yeah. And Los and I, we've had so many conversations about spirituality and content creation and the psychological shadow side to it. And I just had a call with Josh before this. I honestly wish I didn't have like two long conversations before this, because at some point I was like, what a sim would do would recognize that what we're talking about right now is going to be gone forever, and that it's extremely valuable, and we should probably be on a space right now saying that, like having this conversation, because of the leverage that it can have and the impact it can have on the world. And then not only that, it can be recorded, and then later on it can impact other people as well. And so that's like, when once you tap into that and you're like, oh, so this is why like I'm being a sim,
Mm,
right? I'm not doing it just to make the money. I need to script the YouTube video, get in front of the camera and make it. No, it's because I'm actually recognizing that there's an entire other world that is capable of allowing me freedom, which used to be literally never possible. Everyone's the watcher, no one's the maker. Everyone's waiting for someone to initiate something. No one's initiating, like the space I did yesterday. I just decided to be the one who initiates something. And people have been waiting for people to initiate something. So Josh was saying he's only gotten promotions because he initiated things. So in a world with no initiators, you need to be the initiator. And that's what content truly is the uh, recognizing parts of your life are already impactful and inspirational, but they just need to be put onto the internet so that you can achieve freedom through being yourself.
yeah, I was just saying how important it was to be the initiator and to be the type of person like spark the conversation and get out there and be the one to start talking and put yourself out on these spaces, because if you're not beginning that conversation, then it's probably never going to happen, and no one's ever going to get that value. It's just lost. Like we could have had this conversation, in text message off space or just like in a DM or something, and it wouldn't have provided, close to as much value as it does to people watching.
Yeah, and even outside of the internet, let's go. What's life outside of being a sim? right? Because if you identify with the sim, then that's like that you're cooked. So outside of the sim, you gotta initiate too. It had been months of isolation last year. So Chris was saying I was in my 7 year, so that's like my spiritual psychosis year.
Mm.
And I was inside and I had realized I had failed to initiate shit with everyone that I was friends with. I had just left college. Time went by so fast. Yeah, I went back to homecoming to my fraternity and saw everyone this is called self remembering. I started actually remembering like things I literally forgot. Faces all had stories tied to them with mental imagery that reminded me who I was. And I was like, I have literally failed. I've been so locked in. I have failed to initiate. And that's why my life is repetitive. That is why everything feels so familiar because there's no applied randomness to my life. And the only person that's going to allow that for this randomness is me through taking action and initiating stuff, being the person in the friend group who plans things. And so this guy from yesterday, Lance, we had become friends on social media. All these guys, I just met Josh in person. I'm hopefully going to meet Los soon. He invited me to Fort Lauderdale like 6 months ago with all of his friends they've all played professional top level soccer at Penn State. So one of them was in the MLS. I had no idea who I was going to be with. And I flew out to Fort Lauderdale for a weekend and no idea what was going to happen. Had the greatest time, better than any international trip I've ever had because it was so random. He initiated everything. I didn't have to worry about, okay, what are we doing tonight? What are we doing next? I was just chilling, and there were girls there too because his girlfriend brought friends, and I was like, this is like, why can't every single day be this applied level of randomness? Because this is where real shit happens, and it only happened because he initiated. He reached out to me and he invited me to go onto this trip, and it made me think like, damn, like things only happen if someone initiates. And so you got to be the person to initiate. And that's what we did, Josh, when I went to Fort Lauderdale again. I initiated inviting Josh. He lives an hour away and he came over. We had a great time and we met for the first time. He's known me for two years
Yeah.
and all of that, but it would not happen without the will of initiation.
Dude, I'll tell you a story. I initiated my like me and Preston used to talk like here and there, right? Like on Instagram, like fucking replying to each other's messages and stuff like that. My nephew was working for me, and he like I wanted him to like do something for himself. I was like, I think you should pay for someone. When you pay attention. I think you should pay like 5-8 grand for like someone who's good. And I recommended Preston, right? And then when he loved it, he started like talking about him all the time. I was like, dude, I think I'm gonna hit him up. I think I'm gonna become homies with him. And my nephew's mindset was like, dude, you can't do that. He's probably gonna charge you. I was like, there's not a planet that's gonna happen, brother. And I promise. And he's like, well, I talked to him. I was like, you didn't talk about like you talked for me. You didn't. I didn't talk. I was like, I'm gonna hit him up. And then I like literally hit him up that day, and we started talking. And like now we've become like good friends. Like I'm like, super. We haven't met in like person, but like, dude, like we talk literally like every day. Uh, but it just goes to show you the difference, right? Like it's also the same. Like I have one picture with one person that like is I'll never in my life probably be able to ever see this person again. But I spoke on stage with him. It was Tony Hawk because I used to skate. I have a picture with him. But every other person that like I'm friends with, I've never taken a picture with because I've never looked up to them. I like look at them as a potential friend or relationship or whatever. And so your mindset on like how you do things, how you approach things, how you think of people is a reflection of how you think of yourself and what you think these people already think of you. You know, the people that want a picture are the people that are always thinking like I'll never be that person, and they're the people that will always buy your stuff in the future because they're going to want a picture with you because you don't want a picture with Preston. You're co-hosting this right now with us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's weird how that works, huh? How you initiate something from someone and then they initiate trust with you, and immediately they feel like you're your
Well, it's because
friend.
people want you to want to
They
feel
want
fucking normal, man. Like I used to be business partners with a lot of like big fitness people. Like one of them was Bradley Martin, and we were in Miami one time, and everybody was like just blowing him, right? Like, oh my god, whatever. And I would make fun of it, right? And he would make fun of it with me, right? Because he he appreciates it to a degree, but also like he'll never take. No one will take people serious when they're like you're basically like glazing guys, like you know what I mean. That's kind of like weird. Imagine like locally glazing the like biggest roofer or the biggest lawyer. That would be strange, right? But you do it all the time online. That is fucking weird. It's
That
because
is fucking weird.
you don't take them as persons, you take them as personalities, but they
They're
shit,
archetypes. They're
they get
Jungian
divorced, they
archetypes.
get fat, they have fears, they're just like you. So the faster you take them on as a human being, the faster you have the opportunity to like reach their connection group, and they're like, yo, come through, pull up, do whatever. You know what I mean? And it is that simple. It's just you have to not act strange and believe that you are the same as them in a degree. My mentor sold Priceline, right? And dude, like we're really good friends. Like, and by mentor, like I never paid him. Like Pitbull pays this guy. Like Shaq's, it's one of his best friends, right? And we have coffee, we hang out all the time when he's in town and stuff. Just because I I connected with him in a friendship situation, not in a like, hey, I need your help, I need your help, because everyone's going at these people the same exact way that most people are. You know, individually, you would probably normally go at these people. If you just go at them as people, then they're going to reply as people because that's what they are.
Yeah, yeah. And I feel like these people are Jungian archetypes. They are matches of what we are missing in ourselves. And that's why we identify and create parasocial relationships through content with them because they embody something that we
That
don't.
you desire, but you believe that is in you. That you nailed that, dude. And
And
that's
you
an
can
archetype thing.
Carl Jung says you can activate these archetypes in yourself. You can say, like let's say you're on a date, you can activate, this archetype of this influencer you follow, or when you're given a presentation, you can activate that archetype. But yeah, they are real people. But when you have this mimetic cesspool of, social networks, it actually becomes like a collective conscious archetype, like a new guy who goes viral, let's say like Clav. Oh, well, that's a new archetypal figure for the collective conscious to identify with from their inner incel. Like not even him. Like they don't really have the connection with him. They don't know him, but they're identifying like with the subconscious, uh, feeling of that person. So I've played around with some types of esoteric marketing and language to try and see if that is the case in terms of what, because that would be groundbreaking information. Carl Jung applied to marketing and social media algorithms, and you're like, all right, I just have to embody some one of the unconscious archetypes in my content. Like that is what I wish we had the numerology guy in here, but that's what Andrew Tate, he was. If you look at the list of Jungian archetypes, I'm pretty sure he fits, and he played the persona of like a Jungian archetype. And then there's the anti-heroes, right? So the people that I built my brand a lot off of being like an anti archetype
Same.
hero and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, once you realize that, that'll help you stop scrolling too, saying, "Oh wait, these hidden models are actually unconscious archetypes that I'm identifying with internally because there's things that I'm avoiding, and that's why I seek to live vicariously through these content creators who don't fucking know me."
You cut off, Preston.
I cut off at what point? Can you hear me now?
yeah, I
Yeah,
can
yeah,
hear.
yeah, yeah. You're good now.
At what part did I cut off?
That know me, and then like you.
Yeah, that they don't know me. That was the end of it. Yeah.
Okay, bet.
Yeah, none of, so like what if it is a deeper, collective unconscious archetype that maybe going viral, it's a little bit about who you are, your personality, your content style, but it could be that you are you are embodying yourself so well that the people that are connecting with you are like lacking you as a part of them mentally with, their own ego.
That makes sense. So we got a few people here. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves real quick and kind of talk a little bit
Yeah,
about?
Spark. I think Spark. He had DM me and he said I like his meme profile pic because
Yeah,
we get talk memetics too, and uh, memetic warfare. That's like a
Yeah.
trend now too. That's an unconscious, image that triggers emotions. Oh, I think he just left. Maybe he'll rejoin back. But yeah, meme. We're seeing a lot of memes too in marketing, and that's like a subconscious kind of.
It seems like
Uh,
it's always been the best marketing tool is to like get people emotions by sparking some sort of mimetic desire in them.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
there's this book about amusement and entertainment and why politicians decide to not actually debate but to create entertainment, and like whoever is Elon Musk obviously says the most entertaining outcome is like the most likely.
yeah.
And so the world has turned into, with the attention spans, just like who can be the most amusing, who can push the barriers, who could be the most based, right?
yeah. You don't admire and follow and buy the smartest person. You admire, follow, and buy the person that like has the most impressions on you, whether that is from trolling or connecting or being funny or being entertaining. But I bet you, if you think about like, yo, who's the smartest person that like I like, and who's the person that I would buy some shit with, they're not the same person. Because the person that like makes an impact on you through being more normal is the person that you normalize more and you feel more connected, and a lot of that is very imperfect, because at the end of the day memetics is just basically being like, it's the epitome of keeping up with the Joneses, right? Like that is like, if you understand like the concept of keeping up with the Joneses and trying to compare and like, I want what this person has, you don't even want that thing, but now you're not even wanting what you want. You want what that person has, and that's what you're trying to achieve, to impress that person, not to make yourself happy. And if you use that in your marketing and you understand that, you can understand a lot of people's pain points, struggles, or ways of connecting as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. 100%. So, Los, have you struggled at all with embodying your entire self through content? I know recently, like we were talking, I took, somewhat of a small break from the types of content I was making. You said you were taking a break. Are you still taking a break from creating content?
So my plan right now is to make a ton of like, do this with you, right? And that this is something I'm actually excited about. Other than that, like, I'm just going to be the anti-hero, essentially the guy that just has a different view, not the enemy, but like, a different opposing view on certain things, which I do believe online. And then the rest is just going to be written and scaled out through AI, uh, because I've done this for like over 20 years, right? So like, I don't feel like it's exhausting saying the same shit again and again and again. I do really well now when I can do lives or solve problems or people ask questions, because it's a more exciting situation. But as far as like, just making content and looking at a camera or going deep on that shit, like, I don't have the soul for it as much right now, because it's not fulfilling. And I think I'm at a point in my life where like, it's not just financial. It is, I'm happy and blessed that like, I'm also old. So like, I've done some shit here, where like, I don't feel like I don't want a huge audience. I want the right people. I want to help the right people. I want the right people to hear my message. And that's not a fucking ton of people. Me and Preston had somebody here yesterday that has like, I think 12,000 people on YouTube and gets like 1,500, 2,000 views, which is good. But he's the number one person on Go High Level as an affiliate right now. He's ripping it. And it's because he's got the right people. And it's not a lot of people, but his consistency in his content is telling the right story to the right people. And that's all I'm more interested in doing now. I I I took a break a couple for like a year or so on speaking on stages, but I'm starting to do that more again because that is fulfilling. Like I do like that because it's more Q&A ish, you know what I mean? But as far as like just making content for the sake of like pulling up, writing scripts and like doing shit, like I'm probably not going to be doing that for a minute.
Yeah, fun fact, I've actually never scripted my content unless it was a video sales letter. But I find that act now of doing that when there's now all these new alternative forms of media, like having real conversations on podcasts, you and I deciding a phone call is unleveraged.
Let's
Let's
do
get on
this.
X Spaces. Now, psychologically, it's not work. I feel like,
Yeah, you
the
nailed it. It's not
platforms,
work.
I don't know. It's such an interesting science, though, to how, our nervous system will react separately to TikTok Live, then Instagram Live, then you upload the same video. When you click on Instagram to upload it, you feel different than when you put it on YouTube. And it's like, what is this hidden thing that allows for me to unconsciously perform a 3 hour, 4 hour X space that is insanely valuable, but not lose energy or like overthink versus like sitting and scripting. And if it feels now like we're in a state where that's considered
it's
performative and
it's
that's
more it's more
overused.
genuine when we do these because it comes from the heart, soul, whatever the case, right? When you do the lives on the other things, you're just getting a bunch of questions and you're getting it's it's like doing and people, the biggest people that make the most money are streamers, right? Whatever. But they're also the new world of actors, right? Like Kai Cenat has Kevin Hart and Justin Bieber at his house. He doesn't go to theirs because he's the new Brad Pitt, the new Kevin Hart, the new all that. Like they're the new actors, right? They're acting. Clavicular has done plenty of videos where you also see that he's not like that. Like Neon or Neo, whatever, like that dude also has plenty of videos where you people are talking like he's not like that at all in real life. Like I said, like I know like Larry Wheels, Bradley Martin, all these guys, they're actually not in some ways, they're very much not like that as well, right? Because they're acting and like we're not actors, we're entrepreneurs. Like a lot of these guys
Uh,
don't sell a business, they don't build businesses, they make money from like a desire of people being like a version of themselves that they actually aren't.
wow, yeah, that's deep, bro. That's really deep because that's the realization you and I came to, that we really became good friends on. I was like, dude, are you like when you look at your Instagram feed now, do you like see this in everyone? And is it because like I see it in myself and I don't want to become the person I hate when I watch, because I'm seeing all these personas in mass and I'm tired of playing this character. And you're like, dude, I can't look at it either. Like no one's real. And so we're
It's
like,
like it's like eating organic or like eating fucking Cheetos with red dye, right? Like it's pollution. Like if you look at it like that, like your body, your soul and shit get consumed with all this stuff. And like we had this conversation with about 20, 30 people yesterday, and a lot of people came to the front about, and it was a pretty honest conversation at like 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. A lot of people are like, I don't know what I want. I don't know like who I am. I do follow a lot of people and I do want like their desires and stuff like that, which is the whole concept of, mimetic marketing and mimesis in general, right? Like it's because you're polluted, like you're fat and you have cortisol issues, you have stress because of what you put in your body. You're broke and you're not succeeding and you don't have great habits and you don't have structure because of what you put in your mind.
yeah. What do you think about someone yesterday said
Oh, dude,
that,
I,
and
I
it
was
might have been you, but someone said that you will, in order to pay your bills, you must put this mask on and you must create not deceptive, slop, but you must manufacture viewpoints and opinions with the ultimate goal of paying your bills, and that's
I
how
didn't say
you show up.
I didn't say that. I don't know who said that. I thought you were gonna
Yeah, I think
bring
someone
up.
like generalized the idea of the creator economy in
Yeah,
that way, which it is like
if you're
true.
an
But I think
affiliate,
like
that's an affiliate's
yeah, like
job.
once I figured out that's, I was naive to not understand like that's what I was participating in. I never wanted to do this actually. If you guys go far back in my story, I just like made a Go High Level affiliate video one day, and I unlocked like 1,000 followers, and it went from there. And so
Yeah,
I
I
had to
started
actually,
following you because you were really good at it, like, and I'm a dork, right? So like I loved like your structure and systems and like like the specificity, right? And so like, but that's like you were talking to like one audience at that level, and that's why you started crushing it, right? And then you
then you
like,
become yourself, and then the views drop, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, and so that's what happened to me. So I put on TikTok, which is why I stopped looking at my views and stopped looking at my comments, because I don't want that to dictate, as I said, like the quality of the conversation. But yeah, I've been, being myself on TikTok. I risked losing, the all the stuff, and then I made a video, which I hate watching these videos where people don't provide any value except for explaining how to just integrate a tool. But I thought was like extremely valuable and not online already. So I was like, fuck it, let me be the guy who just says this tool, boom, 30,000 views right now. People are saying, where did you go? I thought, yeah, I like it unfollowed you for some reason. And I'm like, damn, bro, like, uh, I guess this is what being a sim is like, you got to realize that this shit's business. Like, we're getting on here to grow our brands, to grow our voices, to make an impact, and ultimately, get paid for it. So maybe it's narcissistic to think, oh, I can just show up and post. Maybe it's even more slop, just like just being yourself and not, putting on some valuable presentation, which I think there could be a good mix of both. But it's definitely an interesting concept, and I'll invite Eric up here. You had requested to speak.
What's up, Eric?
Let's see. I think I gotta. There you go. Yo, maybe it except. Oh, it said there was an error, so he could try and rejoin again. But yeah, we were talking about that aspect, and so yeah, I think at the end of the day, it was kind of like a black pill for me of like, all right, um, maybe share some things need to be kept to myself. I don't need to share everything. Maybe I can play half value driven content, half myself humor, inside jokes. But yeah, there's nothing better than live conversations like this where there really is nothing to hide behind. You guys, feel free to repost the space too. Everyone yesterday had reposted it too, and it helps get more people in here as well. And uh, if anyone wants to say anything too, I think another conversation we could have. I guess it's all men in here, all guys. And
Mhm.
Los, I know you're married. Um, yeah, so if you've looked into Jungian analysis, you'll learn about the anima and how the anima, the feminine nature of your soul, essentially dictates a lot of your desires too, outside of like models, but just the instinctual, animalistic nature of wanting to provide for someone. I had realized that when you start to involve your anima into relationships when you're a sim, you start to change. You're Because it feels as if you're being viewed by a woman that you're trying to, let's say, build a relationship with, that judges you as a person off of social media, because now we live in an age where all the girls are on social media. So if you have sacrificed by becoming a sim your personal social medias to be a content creator with an 80% male audience, good luck with, sliding into the DMs or receiving DMs. And so if you are simming and an e-girl comes in, or some chick, starts to fuck with your anima, all of a sudden the things that used to matter, that didn't matter anymore, like fear of being seen, judgment, saying the wrong things, it changes. So you start to be like, out of 1,000, 20,000 viewers on this video, in the moment when you're making it, your anima is like fucking with you because you are perceiving the fact that this person you're trying to build a relationship is going to study you or learn you from this piece of media that is really only there to benefit your career. Same goes with my parents too. And then this is kind of a spiritual discussion we can have. I've realized that like my mom will go out to lunch, she'll bring up me from things I've posted on social media. And I have a rule with her. I say, when we're talking, I don't want you to talk to me about what I'm posting on social media. I unfollow you. I don't even want you to follow me. But when your family members are keeping up with the state of your health and your success through the testing that you're doing, through making viral media and content, it can start to fuck with your, life and the people in your life if you don't let them know, hey, this is a persona, this is for
It,
business, this is social media.
it could also fuck with you, and I don't know if you guys wanna share this, but when I first started doing stuff on social media, right, like a lot of people made fun of me. They all laughed at me. They were like, "Mm, this guy thinks he's something," or whatever the case. And I'm like, I still don't. Like, I was just trying to, it's work. It's whatever. Like, it's what you're supposed to do for like literally, like, I think everybody in the world needs to be doing this. But, like everybody in my local area was like, making fun of me or whatever the case, like people that you've known for a long time, like all that. Like I am married. I've been married for like it'll be 18 years this year, and like my kids are in like cheer and dance and stuff like that. And so like the parents also follow me, and I have podcasts, and sometimes they listen to it and stuff. And some think good things, some think different things, and I'm like, what do I say? Because like I know people are listening now, and it's kind of weird. And my daughter's friends follow me now, and so she's like, "What do I do?" I'm like, the only thing I can do is be myself. And I also explain to people, I'm like, listen, sometimes I make opinions and things like that that are based off of my industry, and the character that I have online is very, very similar to the human that I am in the world. Like, I'm an opinionated person that like I don't like bullshit, and the best thing, the best thing you could be, in my opinion, is like not a fake version of yourself. When you have to like split those people is when you are like fully trying to be quote unquote an online guru. But when you stop and you just become you, I think better clients come, better business shows up. You compound the amount of content that you can create more significantly, and you make more money, you get more fulfilled, and you have to defend yourself less, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think Carl Jung had said, if you work meticulously in private on your work and it's good work, people will show up no matter what. Something along those lines, which I find to be true, and which is why I don't know if I had said this yet, but I told Josh, I said, pretty sure, and don't correct me on the number, that Jesus Christ only had seven disciples. It's like, so the number don't need to dictate uh, you know, anything that you're doing. But yeah, it is such an interesting concept when you combine the perception now that we are like, if you're a sim and everyone spends their time online, if you're going out to dinner with your family and they're consuming content online and they're consuming you, and this is the version of you that's like testing marketing material and giving based opinions to go viral. It can get messy because you're like, hey, by the way, that's like to make money, that's like, to see if the style of marketing works. So do not associate this entirely to me personally, because you know uh interesting, it's kind of like Clav, where he's on live and his dad texts him like, you're a full-blown drug addict. Is because his dad's like, watching his streams, but he's playing this character, right? He's never going to get the jaw surgery. Who knows if, but maybe he was actually doing, those drugs and everything. But yeah, you got to keep both separate, or be honest with those people. But yeah, I have that rule of, I almost want to like block my parents on social media because I don't like talking about testing really hyperbolic messaging about how I have an OnlyFans and X, Y, and Z. But yeah, I guess once you start growing up and you're like you, Los, and you have children, and the children's friends are like, "Oh, your dad's an influencer," and then they follow you, and then it gets a little different. So I guess I have an opportunity when I'm like, well, I have nothing to lose, where I can really test the compliance level with my digital footprint. But let's have Josh, let's have you initiate some conversation here and
Yeah.
talk about your experience with any struggles that you've had personally with perception in terms of putting yourself out there online to become a sim.
Yeah. I think the best anecdote I have is when you told me to great workout. Oh, see you same time tomorrow. Was kind of not to be so afraid of the calls and being on the weekly live calls with the group members in the school community. At first, I was just not wanting to be on camera and talk to people, and it was really like a scary thing to me. You said to me not to like think of it as like think of it as like a as an event, to make it more as like just a leisurely casual thing. And when you get on these spaces or when you get on these group calls, just to be yourself and to join without any type of what was the word you said, like,
And being yourself is enough.
is enough. Yeah,
So just being there is inspirational, even though you can't see it.
that was the most helpful thing to me, just hearing that. And I've implemented that into everything now, and it's made my calls easier, my calls with clients easier, my showing up on camera. I've made videos for my agency now, where I've like recorded myself going through like a sales script and sharing that with hundreds of people. I'm about to do that on tomorrow actually, and share that video with my agency. And
What about building a brand? Because these are obviously those great steps with, creating assets and IP inside of your company. But what about when it comes to sacrificing your social profile forever?
give me an example, because I
Like Josh
then.
Hart,
Mhm.
it will, like when I look you up on Google, like having all SEO backlinks related to videos of you stating public opinions and putting yourself out there online to the point where you have completely sacrificed your Instagram, your TikTok, and all forms of recording yourself to be for other consumption from people.
Yeah. I haven't gone to that far of an extent yet, but you mean like if I were to,
Becoming a sim, aka.
would be like becoming a sim, yeah. But I don't think I've done that to that extent yet, because I still have yet to become omnipresent with my posting, and like just the fact that I'm still afraid or not actively posting enough to really get that reach yet.
Yeah, well, you don't need reach. We're here with 6 people,
Yeah.
right? You
Right.
need repetition because it's a dissolving of beliefs. Actually, is what it is. It's
It is.
before you can make a video or do a space, you should do voice recordings that are deleted a week later. No one gets access to. You should film videos on your camera of you making YouTube videos and then delete them because it's it's practice. It's like, why now is there an association with the same exact task of making the video when it's online versus when I willingly do it just to delete it, to dissolve this concept of a limiting belief in my mind that I can't do this.
Mm.
I think Josh, to kind of the point that Preston might have been trying to make in coaching you and giving you that advice is, you know, you don't need to be a resume, and you don't need to be a set of skills, and you don't need to be this authoritarian. I think that at the end of the day, connecting with each other as people is where the real magic begins. It was interesting. There was a young man who I hired years ago to be a penetration tester. And we connected on Reddit. He was just an anonymous profile on the other end of a screen. And in his post on Reddit, in one of the cybersecurity groups, he said, "I've sent out my resume 156 times and no one has even responded to me." And I said, to myself, like, that's bizarre. I said, so I messaged him and I said, send me your resume. And I looked at his resume, and it was an impressive resume. And my thing has always been about, connecting with people and giving them a chance, and not worrying about the credentials, or the facade, or the illusion that people have to put forward on LinkedIn, or any of this fake stuff that supposedly is supposed to represent who we are, what we're capable of. And I think, and he ended up being one of the most amazing pen testers that I've hired. And he was with me for 4 years through the end of his graduate school, and after that. And I think part of showing up and being present, and sort of just be who you are. It allows people to sort of understand who Josh is. And when you sort of drop the facade, and the BS, and this fake image of who you think people want you to be, then they can really connect with who you are, and really begin to open up to what you're capable of, and I think be supportive. And I think that's, having been in this industry for almost 4 decades now, to me, that's what set me apart from the leaders that have been my bosses over the years, and thankfully are will no longer be my bosses. So yeah, I think that's great advice.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that really nailed it down for me too, because I need to hear straight up, like, what is it I need to do, and it's being like more myself, being more open, and just being like that.
But what do you want to do, Josh? Like what's your, like, if you had a goal, like what do you want to do?
Well, Declan was on here last night, and he kind of has what I want to do already is being like one of the top high level affiliates. I run an agency.
No one wants to be one of the top high level affiliates. Like no one's like, like I want to be the, I don't know, like a top affiliate of something. Like that's, you want what that creates, which is the money. So what do you want? Do you want money? Is that how you want to earn the money?
Yeah,
Like
he's your
what do you
mimetic
want?
model.
Yeah.
Like we just talked about this, but hey, you can't control it. But he is your mimetic model.
In a way, yeah. So the money, I guess, the recognition is a huge part. I feel like I work really hard for my agency, and it would be great to be recognized.
You want to be known, respected, and have money in this industry.
Yes, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, the last thing you fucking want is to do high level affiliate stuff. You want to grow your agency, and you want to be respected and known, and admired for your skill and acumen, and have bigger potential clients, most likely.
Right.
What are you doing to achieve that?
So right now I'm working 9 to 5 at my agency, setting up systems to help them scale. We're doing an outbound outreach.
The first thing I tell people,
Yeah.
like, what are you doing to achieve that? If you fucking say setting up systems, you're ignoring what you should be doing, which is trying to get fucking clients and making content to be known, respected, and get money. You don't get money because you build systems. You create structure because you have fucking clients to create systems. So, you know what I mean? Like,
Well, he does work at a startup, so he's getting paid
okay,
hourly.
that's fair. So like, it's
But
okay.
he works with me, and he has a partnership with me with our LMacademy.com.
So
We're
you
talking
gotta
about
go
making more
support.
initiatives.
You got to support Preston as your other side of the brand that like pulls up, because you guys have a great like model right there.
Right.
You guys have great content, and great support, and like the product is something to be proud of. So a big part of your focus should be like, fuck high level. Like I would put all my money on Preston instead, because like, yeah, you're gonna make a little bit of affiliate stuff from that. You can make way more money on the other side and build the brand and get better clients. You're putting your effort on the wrong mimetic concept, if you know what I mean.
Right. No, that totally
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
What's
Yo,
up,
Los, I
Apollo?
just saw your message. We can hop on a call like after this or something.
Yeah, no problem.
Word.
What's
Uh,
good, Apollo? How are you,
What's
man?
up, man?
dude, I'm spectacular. La vida es buena. You know. I was thinking
Nice.
about going out and maybe getting like a nice dinner or some shit, or I don't know, treating myself to something. But also, I'm like, maybe not. Maybe that's money that could be going into Claude Code. And I'm like, fuck me. So.
Yeah, we were talking about before you had joined, essentially the life of a sim, someone who has sacrificed their social profile in order to one individuate themselves in society and in their career, as well as make impact online through sharing their voice.
So
It's
sim in a good way, kind of.
yeah, in a good way, like
Yeah.
knowing that like this is the reality of life now where more people spend time online than they do in person. And if you are online and it is not somehow like an interactive X space, you recording a thought, making content, providing value, then you're actually just a victim of these bigger platforms, and that it would be a shame during this incarnation with this technology and to just have personal issues be the reason to why you wouldn't expand your possibility and your potential through social media. So essentially, the challenges of becoming a sim in this metaverse.
Well, I can say, from my perspective on that, I think a large thing, I mean, in general in life, is knowing. I think I'm very big on frequencies, and you do have five senses that pick up everything around you all the time, whether you like it or not, unless you're like blind or deaf or whatever. But when you are watching like any content, if you're not like particularly like analyzing every single piece of like media that you are taking in, and you're like differentiating what you're watching. Like if you go to any of my social medias, whether that's my Instagram, my TikTok, or anything, I'm on like the entrepreneur side of all of the above. And I'm sure everyone in these calls are in the same, but it's like I see nothing but business content. I see nothing about nothing but things about personal growth and like bettering yourself. I see edits, I guess, too, because I like watching
So
edits.
will you ever sacrifice the life of being the one that's learning from the material and analyzing it to being I'm Apollo on the For You page now, and all my inputs on the internet go
Gang,
towards
I have posted
scaling?
content. I've posted content and like stuff on TikTok I've posted stuff on TikTok since I was like 15 and I'm 22. So I have my TikTok has like 3,000 followers, which is kind of shitty for all of the above. But like I posted, I was pretty much on a gym grind for like the longest time. And I posted all of that content and it just, nothing ever really picked up for me. So it's like, but it's at a point where it's like, it is just like getting better and better and better. And it's like, you learn with each iteration, and maybe I'm a slow learner in some aspects, but I also think a lot of the time with the content shit, it's like I've never really given a fuck what like other people think about my content. I think that's kind of like my homie is very big on that. And he'll tell me like you should care more about like how like you're perceived by other people and this, that, whatever. And it's like I don't give a shit. Like to be honest, it's like I'm just who I am, and I embrace that fully and I try to put that out there and like following that version of like somewhat Christ and like just following God in your own aspect. Like you should learn who you are, not everybody else, not everyone else's interpretation of who you are, not what the internet thinks you are. You have to figure out who you are. And a lot of people have yet to do that. A lot of people have done that. But on social media in general, there is a lot of just fake people. And I've kind of always like prided myself on that. I'm like I've been posting, like I said, posting content since I was like 15. And part of my brain kind of thinks it's like at some point, like I my content needs to get better for sure. But at some point,
Or maybe your
it
cadence needs to get better because if you're posting a lot, maybe it's the amount of you're posting and stuff.
That could be it. That could be it. The scheduling on when I'm actually posting. I try to be consistent, try to be daily. I took like a month and a half off not too long ago because I was just getting out of
The
like a
schedule
toxic
doesn't matter. I'll
relationship.
tell you that.
It doesn't.
Not on TikTok. But that's good that you've stepped through that threshold. That's what I call like the first threshold is caring what your friends and family think. And then the second threshold, which not many people make it through, is once they start to actually get somewhere like a couple thousand followers and active viewers. Now they start caring what the online crowd thinks. They're beyond what their friends and family. Now they're a slave to the comments, and so that took me a long time to overcome. But those are those two thresholds. It seems you're, past it, and now it's more of a, I guess, do you not see the opportunity of, like you said, you're, spending money on Claude Code and you're building products, and like, do you not see past just, a lower viewer count, kind of like we just have like, 8 people
Yeah,
here, and just
facts.
say, like, because I stopped looking at my views, all of them. I even stopped looking at like a lot of my comments because I can't have that dictate. This is going to be recorded, put on YouTube. Who knows? This could be,
That's
have
valid.
thousands
That's
of followers in
valid.
the future. So like, I need to turn everything into an asset. Every living, valuable piece of my existence turned into an asset, thrown onto the internet, because there are billions of people that are the product of big tech, that are, one, like addicted to this, but two, they need it. They need to hear the thoughts that they didn't think anybody else had, that you decided to share, and you just
It's
didn't
kind of the
care.
Batman arc. It's kind of the Batman arc. Like with what you just said about like the phase one, phase two, like that's like Loki, like Batman in his first movie is like dealing with like all the regrets and trauma from his parents and like his family relationship. And he's going off that and he has to learn to work through that. Then you get to the Dark Knight and he is dealing with like society and what like his girl and all the above think. And hey, he has to work through that, even though he loses like everything he fucking loves in the process. And then the third film is him versus him, and that's like the level that
Mm,
everyone in this call needs to get to. Is like you're not competing with anybody but yourself, genuinely.
yeah.
It is all about getting better than you were the day before and just putting your best foot forward in the present because the present's the only thing that exists. Everything else is kind of
Yeah.
fictitious. So
Yeah, at step three, that's where I, tried to come up with the concept that went viral on TikTok of the Jungian archetype turned into a context profile, then communicating with an LLM to like me versus me, understand myself, because I got to like level three. I think that'll be interesting to see how, with higher intelligence, that plays out, as using something like that to help you. But yeah, everything is what you look for, you will find. If you're putting out hate comments, I had this one friend, and I was trying to tell him how all the For You page is all just a psyop. But then I catch him like making hate comments on a YouTube or on a Instagram video. I'm like, bro, you don't realize that's what they want. Like, I've engineered comments, videos for hate comments before. You're playing into it. You're giving the platform more attention. Like, bro, so you're only, if you put that stuff out there, even though you could get love, that's all you're gonna see. That's all you're gonna interpret too.
it's kind of like
Um,
the Andrew Tate stuff. Like you eventually like you'll get sucked into an egregore of thought. Like even like just the whole red pill like community. Like you'll get sucked into a thought process that's not like of your own. As someone who's like been through that, probably as like a little 18, 17-year-old who just got heartbroken, like watching these things back in like 2020, like COVID going on, all the above. That shit definitely like egregored your like a lot of young men and also like the whole all of the whole like OnlyFans, all of the above, like the lustfulness within our society has like a lot of people get trapped in that egregore, whether that be like porn, OnlyFans, whatever, and it controls their life without them even ever knowing it. Like I do think lust is the worst sin because you're sinning against yourself. And that's like the whole like that third phase, at least for me, as someone who was could talk to a lot of women and all of the above, like I had to learn to work past that entirely. Like there's nothing in my bones but love for other people. It's not like I'm doing anything with an intention of thinking I'm going to get anything in return. And that's a huge part of wanting to like even just like stay posting on social media because I have done it for such a long time with seeing like very little results. And that's been a lot of things in my life. But eventually, like you hit the apex peak where things start to go like exponentially upward over time. It's time and effort. But a big part of staying consistent with that and staying consistent posting is like you have to be chill with yourself. You have to not give a fuck what anybody thinks all of the time. And it's going to hurt, it's going to suck, and you just have to keep doing it even if you're getting judged left, right, center, you know. You got to be who you are and not let other people dictate who you are.
Yeah, and you have to remember it's the internet too. So like no one in real life is associating this perception or interpretation. It's simply just this online digital space where you're humiliation ritualing yourself in a
Yeah,
sense, right?
pretty
And
much.
someone had
Pretty
told me
much.
this. If anyone who's listening to this ever, worried about hate comments, I talked to this, guy from South Africa. Great story. Like came over to my apartment and all this stuff, and saw I was able to witness someone else witnessing the American dream, and I was kind of projecting in my own insecurities about my, not being where I want to be at in certain stuff, and talking about how hate comments can decide a lot about, shape that egregore that you have. And Zerka, who I follow, says that like one hate comment can like
No.
turn into 10 and then 100 in your head. And like the best people like Tucker Carlson, the reason he got canceled, he kept going. He does not even read comments, and he doesn't need to. He broke past the idea that he needs to respond to them, read them, and he just keeps going. And so this guy told me, he said, let me give you an example. If I say to you right now, you're pretty annoying. He said, you're missing the fact that I just called you pretty. You're picking a single word in the sentence of annoying, and you're associating with that, and you're forgetting that I actually called you pretty. And I was like, holy cow, like the power of words alone. Like I can change my entire perception of myself through someone authoring their perception of me, completely missing that if you really look at it from a linguistics perspective, this was a compliment. And I was like, holy cow, dude. Obviously, that's kind of cliche because, yeah, well, that pretty annoying is a way to describe it, an extreme version of annoying. But it's a good metaphor to think about of how we pick. We search for bad, and what do we do? We find it. But when we look for good and we look for love, that we'll find it too.
Facts. Yeah, I mean that's like being the Buddha is essentially just being delusional in like the best way possible in every situation. Like someone comes up and they're like, I hate you. If you just smile back at them, supposedly it's a reflection, it's just reflected back on if a gift is not received, it's given back to the person who handed it, right? Or something like that. But I don't know. I get that.
Yeah, yeah. Or Chase Hughes, if you know Chase Hughes is a good guy. He says that if someone you were wearing a red shirt and someone were to tell you, "Man, I hate your purple shirt," you would laugh because you would realize that you're not wearing a purple shirt. The same goes though with these internal messages and thought forms that we have that we can't dictate. Well, is this true? Is this person just trolling? Blah, blah, blah. But if you know who you are, if you've individuated yourself enough, then you'll realize that you're not wearing a purple shirt, you're wearing a red shirt. So your words can't hurt me. So yeah, I would say that part of content is definitely interesting. But I've tested in the past, like purposely making content that was engineered to try and see, to give me as much hate as possible, to see how I could take it and realize that it was all temporary and fake. And it actually made the video better and go viral. And it turned actually just into a discussion board and no one actually cared about me. People were just arguing about what I said in the comments. So
That's
I was
always
like,
the best though.
yeah, so I'm like, wait, they're not even judging me. I'm actually just a projection surface, is what I was calling it, to where it's just a discussion board, and I'm simply the one who brought the concept to avid, screen time users to sit there and, discuss their own opinions about what is correct. So none of it had to do with me. It all just has to do with people kind of wanting to project their own authority or their own intelligence. And it really has nothing to do with you. And so that's kind of what got me into studying a lot of psychology and projection, but not getting too narcissistic into it and being like, I could say whatever I want and it won't hurt people. But yeah, a lot of it does come from the projection. If you've ever been a hater too, then you would know too that like the worst times in your life were when you were writing hate comments.
Yeah, I'm somewhat of a massive hater on just if I am a hater on anything, it's I hate modern psychology and how mental health is viewed, at least within the US. Like I struggle to believe in like different mental illnesses without like believing that it's just like reliant upon them having like love present in their life often. But even then, when people are like different and have their like different bipolar or like Kanye West or whatever, like I think that's what makes them human. That's like what like that individuation, like is like what makes them them. And then we go and we tell them that they need to be more normal, and we send them to mental health hospitals and pump them full of drugs and things like that, helping nobody, putting more people on the street, things like that. And it's horrible, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that,
Kanye said, um, when you grow up and you're a kid and you stand on a table, you have no this is simulation theory. You have no concept of right from wrong, and you go ahead
Mhm.
and you stand on the coffee table, and everyone tells you, "No, get off the coffee table. What are you doing? You can't stand on the coffee table." And then you grow up, and your entire life is just walls of coffee tables, and it's like that's so.
felt that.
That's hilarious. Like that's amazing, bro. To think that like we're programmed with norms and taboos through our families as we grow up, and then that becomes our reality. And something as simple as standing on a table, which should be the embodiment of human free will, is now considered weird, right? Who's to decide that that was something weird? So now your whole life is these things that other people have decided are what is best for you.
Yeah, for sure. And also, like, if you're gonna be the generational like curse breaker in your family, the person who sees through like all the BS, all of the above, like, while a lot of your family might not be woken up or whatever to kind of everything in the world, or like closer to spirituality, things along those lines, closer to God. You're gonna like it's gonna suck, like, to be blunt, like you, because they're not gonna understand, and the only way you can really show people that what you're saying is true is through action, kind of. That's kind of what I've like kind of decided on. It's like just take action on everything all the time, and just don't shut out like you shouldn't shut out other people, but sometimes like Preston said with like the self-isolation thing, sometimes it like you can fall into that like trap of like, oh, I need to self-isolate, but also, I mean, Jesus like went and like got closer to God, spending 42 days in the desert. Buddha sat under the Bodhi tree by himself, like a lot of the like Moses went up to the peak and like got the tabernacle or all that whatever stuff from being alone a lot of the time. And that's like you have to get really used to being alone, to be honest, if you want to make anything actually great or stand out in this world. You're going to be
Yeah.
misunderstood by everybody.
Yeah, and what you said relates to this NLP book I'm reading, which I recommend to everybody, especially with being an entrepreneur. I made Josh buy the NLP for Dummies book. Is that you can't convince through your words. Obviously,
Really
7%
good.
of human communication is your words. You can't convince anybody to do anything or take any action simply through words, but except for embodying, you have to embody the behavior that is the most likely way to change somebody else's behavior is by having them see you embodying it, and then they'll go ahead and do it. So like, you won't travel until you see me travel. You won't go inside of the community and actively engage with people until you see me doing it. So a lot of it,
Sometimes that's my
a lot of it
problem
now.
though. Sometimes that's definitely my problem is I'll like I very much have a mentality. I've heard 1,000 times that you can lead a horse to water but you can't make it drink it. And I think this might be why I struggle in relationships, and I struggle with excuses from people. I don't like my thought process with the you can lead a horse to water but you can't make it drink it has always been I'll starve that horse for 4 days, kicking its shins and leave it laying by the lake. I guarantee it's going to drink that water. Um, or or it's just going to die. In which case I did what I could for the horse, maybe in a brutal way, but like that's what that's intensity that I take into all of my actions pretty much. Uh I do firmly believe that, and I think like there are so many limiting beliefs that we set upon ourselves, and that's really just the best advice anyone's ever given is believe in yourself and believe you can do anything because you can.
We are by far our own worst enemy, brother. We are the best and the worst version of ourselves, mostly all at the same time, too.
Yeah, and the
Facts.
Bible says believe, and I'm sure Apollo maybe because you referenced the Bible, but uh, what you want in your heart, believe, and so you'll have it. Something in that nature, and so on a spiritual note, how the world works, if you are basing it off of religiously, if you really believe in something enough, then and you put your will into it and will into existence, you will have it. So yeah, with that active, obviously we have mimetic imitation, but if you really are a leader, I've failed to be a leader a lot of times, especially being a young entrepreneur, figuring things out, making my own business model, like with no instructions. And I realized that like language alone was not cutting it. It could cut it for like a day and motivate, and then it's gone. It's truly embodying what you want other people to do or behave as, and that's what a leader does, and that is the direct cause that leads to the effect of others actually changing their behavior.
That's
It's
facts.
it's the
I'll,
fight versus life and death, bro. Like genuinely. I think that's my best way of like explaining it. It's like it is a constant like when you are someone who has you have a dream. God gave you a dream, the world gave you a dream, whatever. You have something that you know in your heart, in your soul, in the fire that burns within, that you have to do this, and you live for it. You choose to live for it instead of bending over and like taking lashes on the back like most people from the world that they choose not to take, but they just sit there. You stand up and you fight against it for life, and you choose to live. And when you choose to live, that is the most important decision I think any of us can make in our life is choosing to live for life and not for death and the causation of more death upon the world, because that's truly what and when you've lived, you come like I like the Bible. You asked about or you were talking about the Bible. I do like the Bible. I also somewhat think the Bible is kind of like the starter manual, and people still fuck that up, which perplexes me. um but like I like the Dead Sea Scroll. I prefer more, instead of following Christ, live like Christ. Give your all in every single thing you do. If you have to die for the thing you love most, fucking do it. And like have that mentality of sacrifice for the things you love. But you have to be sacrificing for life and for the good of the world, not for selfish reasons that are going to cause more harm and hurt to other people. And that's something that I've had to learn to grow with a little bit and all of the above. But I think that's really the message is like live. You really just need to live like fully with love. That's it.
you,
You know?
you're
Yeah.
you're alive though, so you don't need to live. You already do that, like literally by waking up. Unless you die, you live. So it's not really living. It's being alive. It's being present. Like
Facts.
people aren't present.
That's a better way of putting
You're
it.
all alive. Like fucking people that do
You're
heroin every day and
unconscious.
like
Presence. It's
and
all
like
about
they're
presence.
alive, but But if you're not present, you're not awake, and if you're not awake, you're an NPC, and that's the game. You know what I mean? Like it's waking up, but staying awake when you are awake. That's why you go to sleep. When you're awake, you should be present, but being present means
Present.
so much.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
present.
engaging, what I learned from Zerka was the idea the idea of active suffering versus passive suffering. No matter what, like we're all suffering with thought forms, you versus yourself, and it's just a matter of whether you will participate in that suffering in an active fashion where you're individuating yourself and you're, dealing with energy, emotion, and living like feeling all the emotions versus passive suffering, which is feminine, which is sitting on the couch and just scrolling, knowing that you're equally suffering although you're consuming entertainment that's stimulating you, because you know that you could be individuating yourself through doing something meaningful and willing real quality, creations into existence. So we have a choice to make whether to engage in active suffering or passive suffering. There's no way out of that suffering. So you might as well decide to participate in active suffering.
That was like the level of depth that was really deep. If people understand what it is, because it's true. Like you can
Sisyphus.
you can suffer and play the game, or you can suffer and like be the victim that never got to be a part of the game. But like the same time is being fucking wasted. You know what I mean?
Facts.
Exactly. Like this right now, all of us, what we're doing, although we don't know it, it's active suffering in a sense. We're actually engaging and learning about each other, talking. This is recorded, going to be leveraged. Passive suffering would be the opposite, and deciding that you're just going to watch Candace Owens' new conspiracy theory about Erica Kirk, right? Like knowing, oh, I could be, networking on this social app and or making content. So at the end of the day, like I said, it's all the same time. And I've actually learned through taking a period of stopping my active suffering and participating in passive suffering. And I ended up finding out that it hurt worse to passive suffer. I thought I was like free because I could spend my time and sit and scroll, and that I didn't have to work, and because I was psyop myself into thinking that the suffering from work was worse, and that this is a break. Until I did it for so long, I realized that it had worse. The suffering was worse when it was passive, versus once it was active, to where it felt refreshing to participate in active suffering. And that's really the pill. It's like, oh, if you want the leisure and you're doing all this because you don't want to work, well, what happens when you get the success? You get the enough money to where you don't have to work for a year, and you like tell yourself, okay, well, now's the time I can just be passive. I'm telling you that passive suffering is 10 times worse mentally on you and who you are and who you're becoming than participating in your active suffering and work and serving others and communicating. And because that's what individuates yourself, sets you apart from everybody else, builds a career for you, makes you the money. You can't go down that. But yeah,
Well, you know the story of Sisyphus?
no.
So Sisyphus is a Greek legend, and Sisyphus was the king of Corinth. He was known for basically being deceitful. He played with the gods and like revealed a bunch of their secrets to mortals. Especially, he captured Hades to prevent souls from entering the underworld. And as punishment, the gods condemned him to essentially be forced to roll a boulder up a mountain for the end of time. And every time he reached the top of the mountain, the boulder would just roll back down all the way to the bottom. But one can almost imagine Sisyphus as happy because Sisyphus knows his purpose for being. No matter what, every day he has to wake up. That's what he's supposed to do. He just has to push this rock up a hill and watch it roll back down. But that's all like it is, like, and he accepts that and he appreciates that. And that's like why you'll see these like stoic accounts with like the photo of the dude like pushing a giant boulder up a hill. Like that's supposed to be Sisyphus. But yeah. I think that we all can learn a thing or two from Sisyphus.
Yeah. And with AI and everything, I started to really ponder on this idea of this incarnation of being a O2 kid where my graduation was on Zoom and I went to school and you weren't required to go to class anymore and joined a fraternity and then had my fun there and then dropped out when AI comes out. So like when you're in that time period, you're like, okay, maybe there's like a weird reason this is why I spawned in. And I started to think about the redefining of the meaning of work. So, if we have unlimited goods and services provided at essentially zero cost, and a lot of work becomes robotic, will humans even like is the purpose actually even work of humanity? For so long it was, but what if AI allows us to be more human than ever before by like what was once our common active suffering, which was contributing to the economy with but build using your skill sets to serve others. When that's not there, what like obviously we're not just all going to be living passive lives in this idea, but there what if there is a different life that in the future or now that will happen from technology to where we can choose to be more human than ever before? Because like you think about how much we sleep 8 hours a day than people that have 9 to 5, and then you're like, is that this life to provide goods and services a benefit to the economy, or could there be a possibility that this was a phase and that we're not even close to what real human life is just yet? Do
I
you
mean,
think man needs work, and do you think when work changes that man will be able to live and individuate without the process of building things for the benefit of society?
I think that is a kind of a shit plot, to be blunt. Like end of the day, you're gonna have people like me in the world that are fucking hungry, that don't give a shit, that like you could give me everything I want and I'm still gonna want to build greater shit and keep pushing harder than I was the day before, you know? And it's like no matter what. And there's the people who choose to lay down and take whatever's given to them by the government. I mean, I was on food stamps as a child, like go off, but it's like you also at a certain point need to take ownership and accountability for your life and like the world around you and the beauty around you. And do you not want to go see the fucking stars? Do you not want to travel like Magellan circumnavigated the globe? Do you not want to go adventure and push humanity to the limits of our like existence, see how far we can go while we're here? Do you not want to give your children a better world than you were given? It perplexes me, you know, like end of the day, that internal human drive that comes from man comes from like life, and truly like loving life and wanting to just like see how far you can take it, like even if your life's on the line. Like I think that's going to still remain in some people. And it's like unless you like kill off all the Viltrumites, I don't know, like yeah, I mean, like you're still gonna have like people who are like going hard, you know, running over the like
Hmm.
that's where I struggle with the whole equality conversation. Is if you look at the feminine side of society, this is a huge reason why society has like fallen. Okay, I was at lunch the other day with my grandma, and my grandma asked me, she's like, "Why do you think?" I was like, "The world's kind of gotten pretty dumb, like this, that, whatever." She's like, "Well, why?" Or I think she asked, "Why do you think the world has gotten like so like airheaded and like all of the above?" And I was like, "Well, if you want to break it down, IQ is a bell curve, and women tend to operate more on the center aspect of this bell curve, and it's just true. And men tend to be more on the outskirts of the bell curve towards like super smart or like super stupid." But when you create a society where they are trying to expect them as equal and not viewing one person over another or this, that, whatever, in the true way that the world kind of operates, you kind of break down society. It's like in dating, all girls will look at each other and they'll be like, "Oh, she's pretty," to their fat friend who is like 100 pounds more than her, like, and it's just blatantly not true. They're like putting all of them equally on the same level. Men, we can look at each other and like judge more like nuanced and like put like layers to things, which is why society exists. But when you have a society that's saying everyone's equal when everyone is not equal, and that's just kind of unrealistic sometimes. Like we're all equal in the eyes of God, don't get me wrong, but as like human beings operating within the economy, people have different market value, don't get me wrong. And like at a certain point, when you have these women who are viewing things as equal and they should have someone equal to them, equal to them, equal to them, but there are men that are smarter than them, and that's they're told that that's wrong their entire life, they end up quite literally going and getting with the guys that are on the lower side of the bell curve. And then you quite literally have a society that's just reproducing dumber people. Like
Yeah.
IQ was going up until like the last generation that like IQ went up was 2003, I'm pretty sure, which is my generation.
Well, what
So
do you think about from a soul perspective rather than a societal perspective of the fact that, like, how important is the act of work towards developing your ego consciousness? Or, for example, when I make content or a video and I post it and I watch it and I receive the, validation, understanding, wow, this was helpful, this was valuable. There's a self-remembering process that takes place where I then distinguish myself differently from those around me. I learn more about myself. And so I would consider this act of work crucial towards the development of me as my greater purpose as a human being and the way I view myself. So, do you think with the rise of technology and AI making a lot of work obsolete, that this will be different in a sense? How crucial do you believe the act of work? Do you think our purpose is to work?
we don't want a Wally society, right? Like we don't want just that's like the how bad it can, I mean Wally kind of showed us how bad it can get. Um, like I think that's a crucial. Like, there's a reason why like martial arts is a spiritual thing. Like because there's a reason why it's called martial arts, because it's like the art of your like body, art of the motion of your body. Like any sport that you're playing, if you're trying to get better at the sport, that's work. And that's like physical work on your body. You do also have to do mental work, and then you do also have to do spiritual work. I believe in 3 planes of existence: spiritual, physical, and mental, and you should be working on all of them. Yeah, like you don't want a Wally society, but end of the day, there's going to be the people in society like nowadays you still have people that are going to McDonald's, slamming down french fries and food that they know is bad for them and enjoying it. And it's like you have people who are meal prepping every single day and taking care of their body and their mind and their health. And it's just going to open up, I think, the ability for more choice, personal choice within people. But then you kind of get to see what people do with that. And it's like often people don't make the right decision unless they have immense pain pushing them that way. So
Yeah, and you still obviously have the factor of money, and you're not like a nepo baby who has the ability to just be like, okay, all work's optional now. I will just travel.
bro, I
It's
wish, but
yeah.
like, yeah, like I would probably be skateboarding and surfing and just like recording like Red Bull style content if I had infinite money, to
And
be
do you think
honest.
that would 100% be negative towards the development of your
E?
ego in person if a society, like, let's say you were a typewriter back in the day and all of a sudden they came out with a computer, and your entire ego consciousness development is unrelated to the work that you used to do and identify yourself with? Because even as a creator, like, a lot of the confidence that when I go back to school, like, everyone, not just me, but when you go back to a reunion, everyone now is like self-identifying with their careers, and that's how they build the confidence and then start the conversations. But we are moving into a society where, like, a lot that it could possibly change, and we
I
learn
th-
much more about each other
I
rather than
think
that.
I have the breakdown on this. So the Bible says the love of money is the root of all evil. But at the same time, Jesus was surrounded by wealth. Krishna was surrounded by wealth. Buddha was surrounded by wealth. Um, and the reason why the universe gives them so many gifts and all of the above is because of their works, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that kind of hits the nail on the head. It's like you're not defined by how you think. You're not defined by how you speak. You're defined by what you do.
Yes. Yes.
Um, so
Even if it means it's something that in the future technology will make obsolete.
yeah, it's like Batman, bro.
To be like, oh, the person is now meaningless. That was the typewriter 100 years ago. Like, oh, well, now because we have computers, like that person's
Yeah,
incarnation didn't matter because, yeah, now their whole life was to do something that now technology does instead. It's like, does that make their no? There's more to being a human. But that is a part of the active
well,
development of you be realizing who you are.
honestly, like I I can this sounds a little bit cooked, but I can get behind the notion that the person who was operating with the typewriter and was going and writing news stories about shit that nobody cares about from 100 years ago, and none of their stories are alive. Nobody remembers their name. Nobody knows who they are. Yeah, their life was worthless. I think that you suffer two deaths in this life, and your second death is when people forget who you are, which is why even since I was 10, my goal was I always loved music. I always have loved like social media. I've always loved everything, all of the
Art.
above. But my goal in my life is I just don't want to be forgotten. There is the Kanye West level where you get to
Want
like,
to be forgotten. Yeah.
yeah, but it is also like because I guess you're just remembered in the universe almost at that point by the impact that you had. Like but I think that's why we're all kind of drawn to being inventors and creators. Genuinely is like you say I create like the dude who created Claudebot, like he may not, or the dude who CEO of Claude, for instance, like they may not like they'll die probably a long time from now, but if their invention is like still operating within all of the systems that be all of the above, like those are remnants of their being still living,
Yeah.
still kind of, and
Who gives a shit?
Well, that yeah, that kind of I would say that is a crazy take, but I love the open debate regarding the typewriter incarnation being worthless. But
Like,
that's then to
why
say
do
that
you?
we have no idea where technology is heading, and that like all of us, if some retro causality Nick Land AI takeover happens with Silicon Life, that like all of our incarnations just didn't matter because like what I was getting at with AI was the other side of being like, well, what if the purpose of man is not simply to participate in this, doing of skills to benefit some sort of system or corporation, but not some socialist agenda, but rather to like, you know, enjoy your family and your life and experiences and stuff. But yeah, that's a crazy take, Los. What were you gonna say?
Who gives a fuck who remembers you? No one will. And it like if you pass enough decades, like unless you're a president or some shit, and even if they remember you, they're not gonna give a flying fuck. You're just something that they had to study for an exam. Like
Yeah.
you got to spend all that time trying to be something to nobody. You are
I
the
mean,
epitome of
I
not
feel like
knowing
it's
yourself.
like Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar probably still knew himself pretty well,
Who the
but
fuck knows that? And who the fuck cares about Julius Caesar in a real way? You just
I,
studied it.
Or it's like my great grandfather. Like I don't know, and it's crazy to realize that too. That when time goes by, and I know you're on the part of you want to be remembered, but I mean statistically, with like the level of things that have already been invented and stuff, and the barrier to entry
oh,
being like another
But
Einstein,
let me
like
ask
we
you.
might all be forgotten in like 150 years.
oh,
I
don't
think
get
you
me
want to be
wrong.
remembered because it's a phenomenal excuse to realize that you don't fucking know yourself.
I don't think so.
Why do you
I
want to
think
be remembered?
why?
Yeah.
Because I want to have a lasting impact on the world. Because I want to create something that is
Why?
remembered. because I don't want my life to be worthless.
But is that being
Because
remembered, or is
if you
that
don't
leaving a
do that, your
legacy?
life is worthless.
I mean, like
What is your
kinda.
life? What is your what?
I shouldn't have that view, but like that like I have like sacrificed too much on
How old are
like
you?
a whim. 22. I've
Not
like
sacrifice shit. I bet you. Like
Do
you're
not go
talking
down the
like
philosophy rabbit
you're,
hole. You will
you're
go.
talking like every fucking thing that is fucking pointless. You don't know yourself and you want to be something to someone or so bad because you haven't made $100,000 a month yet. You haven't
I
fucking
don't but
actually
but
like
that's my point. None of
no,
that
that
matters
is
to
my
me.
point. You haven't had any success to find yourself, to realize what you like, what you want. So you hold yourself to this like I want to be huge because you never will be. You know how behind you are in that sense? If you wanted to be that way, you're already fucking behind. You're already behind.
We're all behind in that
In
sense.
exactly, yeah, but no, but none of us in that sense are trying to be this conversation, right? Like that's it. Like instead of trying to do that, you know how fulfilling it is to just be happy all the time and fucking like know like little things are so much more impactful. And when people hear these kinds of things, they're like, nah, that's silly. I was talking to a guy who I was working with and I fired him because he was like, I want to be a billionaire. I was like, make $50,000 a month 3 times in a row. And he's like, no, that doesn't matter. I'm working on. I was like, you're working on everything to make sure that you give yourself the excuse that you can't make 50 fucking racks in a row.
Fair enough. Um
The idea of
more
being remembered also
You're,
scares me because no one else actually knows who you are except for yourself. So that would allow for the collective conscious to author the literal purpose of your entire existence
Julius Caesar
and
wanted to fucking
endlessly have it.
conquer planets and
Yeah,
shit.
and endlessly, it's like Charlie Kirk, and you get Kirkified and memeified. It's like we're in the worst generation to like die and be remembered because at this point you'd be like turned into a meme, even if you did the greatest things possible. So it almost scares me to think that I would be doing something that would allow for hundreds of years for now. Yeah, I also think we might live in a period. It might not be true, but where like everything's been invented, bro. Like
Do you
you
know
have
who?
no
Do you,
chance to be the guy who invented the stoplight because that was like hundreds of years ago. So it's like, what else is there except for now AI
There's tons of
essentially?
things to be invented. Black hole engines, Dyson spheres, uh, like space elevators, like
Okay.
slingshots, like better energy systems. Lots of things to be invented. Lots of
what
things
are,
to be
what are you
created.
doing to do those things right now?
I'm working on building my own shit.
What is your own
Um,
shit?
so I'm building like I was saying yesterday, a 3D operating system that's like I'm trying to build basically the metaverse on that. I'm working on an app and then I have my own AI company. That's
You
for
just said three
sales.
really very general things. I bet you everybody here can say they have their own AI company and they're
Well,
working on fucking projects, right?
I explained it yesterday. But it's the AI company is automated lead scraping, outreach, and follow up into appointment setting. The video generation is ideation, scripting into storyboard and video generation, and then
No,
financial
I get
analysis.
it. And with no disrespect, like I'm just saying, like for the shit you're saying, I want to be remembered. You went into space elevators and then you basically told me that you do Legion with AI. Like, come on, man. Like
I'm
it's not
22.
exact. That's my point. Stop trying to fucking be Elon Musk and be 22 and
It'll hurt
realize
you.
and try to be you.
Yeah, it'll kill you, dude. Uh, I started to think the only reason I started my social media, and this is when I was reading the Mimesis, and then I got all these followers way too fast. I didn't know what I was doing. I I, I like I started to realize that it was because not even because I wanted to do it, but because it was this is when I got into Carl Jung because it was the validation I needed from my parents that they didn't get me when I was younger, and it went so much deeper that I realized the only reason I wanted to be so remembered for this time period online wasn't because I actually wanted it. It was rather due to factors I couldn't control, like the Kanye West with the tables going up, and it put me into a jail cell of my own with my own demons of me painting my own walls and expectations that were way too high. And it wasn't even because I wanted it; it was because of some hidden thing that I always assumed trauma meant you had to actually be abused. But no, like we were being injected with like billions of new data and information from a young age that was probably so overwhelming emotionally that changed us forever. And I think that expectation, especially I'm 23 too, like I would ask yourself, where does it truly come from in terms of your early development to where you believe that you know, I love big thinkers, but to where your purpose needs to be remembered for forever.
I mean, I think I just like remember being like 10 in my room going through like fucking uh domestic violence and my parents like custody battle and all this shit whatever, and like the only thing that got me through it was like blasting Eminem in my ears, and like I literally would like go to sleep blasting Rap God at max volume in my headphones, and all I ever wanted was to be a fucking rock star. And my dad was in a band, and his band broke up because his girlfriend fucked the lead singer. And I kind of like took it probably in my brain that I have to do it all on my own.
Yeah. Yeah. So this
But
is all programming, which is good because the worst part is not understanding the models behind your desires.
yeah,
And so now you can reverse engineer it and self remember and understand that this is how you're shaped, and we're all shaped from, you know, those small experiences in our early lives, and that's what our personalities, that becomes our personality. So I would recommend, have you read into Carl Jung? And there's this book, the
yeah.
perfect book, it's called A Man in Search of His Soul. It talks about childhood development, early adulthood, middle adulthood, and then late, and how you're like a child in your first state, and then when you're dying, you're pretty much like you're a childlike, right-brained thinker. And so, yeah, it explains a lot of this stuff too. But I mean, props to you for being able to share that
What
with
was the
us.
For
And
Dummies book that you said too?
NLP, neuro
I don't
linguistic programming,
that.
NLP for dummies, and then mimesis, the theory of desire, is a good book too. And so this is why I took a break from content for like around 6 months ago, because when I started analyzing myself and then I threw it into an LLM and I started having it go through these processes to understand myself, I started to understand what controls everything I see, how I feel, myself, everything. And it was like a huge pill for me. And I started just looking back at my childhood and realizing a lot of stuff I was doing was projecting. And so I took a break. I traveled. Travel was so good because you experience the cliche idea of sonder, to where you understand other people have their own problems, and everyone's suffering. They have their own active lives. And so when you travel, you really get to be like, damn, life is about all of us. I'm actually very small in this universe, although I do have, you know, God and everything. But yeah, I would definitely recommend some
I
travel. Have you
I would.
traveled recently?
I have never really traveled very much. To be honest, I've left the U.S. maybe once to go to Mexico, but I've never really been afforded that. So,
Okay, go
um,
try and plan and look, have something to look forward to. Plan something I like to do where you're in a country where you can't speak the language, so you can't understand anything, so you're literally forced to realize like that, oh my God, like all these expectations I have for myself, like if I looked at myself as a stranger, like I'm looking at all of these people in a place that has completely different. I'm telling you, the US is
that's smart.
crazy, bro. Now that I have gone so many other places and talked to these people, the US has this energy that is so fast paced and competitive and comparison and all around work and achievements, and these other guys, they're drinking beers at lunch and Europe, smoking cigarettes, even though they know that they're going to die of cancer. And uh, they have a whole different way of viewing life. But yeah, go to somewhere where you can experience Sonder. But that's been a big problem for me, which was realizing that this actually might be a narcissistic trait, to think that I am so obsessed with the idea that I have to be so perfect, and and it almost ruined me. And sometimes I need some people to tell me that me showing up alone is enough, and that you're just an inspiration enough to when you show up and people are around you. So yeah, definitely travel, bro.
Facts. I think also like with the being remembered part, it's not like I also don't realize that like life is fucking kind of all like pointless. Like you go like trillion upon trillion
It's not
trillion.
pointless. Are you kidding me?
Well, no, I mean, hear me out. You go to like trillion, like 7 trillion years, 7 trillions, like exponentially years from now, like atoms themselves will start to disintegrate. Protons and neutrons will start to like disintegrate, and the world will end in cold. Pretty much,
Brother,
if we get to that point.
Who
But
cares?
this life is just the start, dude.
Yeah.
It
well,
is
yeah,
just the start. To imagine that, what you're saying is completely true, but to imagine that obviously that is true would mean that there are levels to this shit that we can't
yeah.
comprehend. That this is early.
It's also so true that it makes it irrelevant to your moment right now. So don't use that as a reason to not.
And Los, we were talking about this. I'll read my text to Los. This is the type of stuff and this is why we want these spaces to be open for people to talk about whatever I
And
said.
just Apollo, I appreciate you having this conversation. Just so you know, I'm not trying to pick on you or anything or be negative.
Appreciate it, brother.
I said, I need that kind of 33 energy because Low Springs, the 33 energy. I said, let's plan some travel or meet IRL. I've been getting God pilled in my free time, not really relying or being relied on by people right now because it feels safe. It's freeing, but too freeing that everything else has kind of lost meaning. Like, bro, nobody knows why we are here, what we are doing, and how everyone keeps everything running in order and measure as a society. Like, there's definitely a reason that God exists, or Jesus came to earth as his son to become a symbol to man for spiritual purpose. So like this is what Los wants to like start, talking about this kind of stuff on a podcast and everything. And really, I do believe that we are in some sort of like thing that whatever's next after this, we can't comprehend it. So to say that this is meaningless, it's a lesson. It's a karmic lesson that there's something greater, whether it's the Bible, something else. But
And it can be a beautiful experience, man. One of the
But I
reasons
don't think meaningless necessarily means it's a bad thing. I guess is like my point.
I know what you were trying to say, but like, I think, and I, that's why I wanted to say, like, I appreciate you being the way you're being in this conversation and being open, because a lot of people would have been very like projecting, like battling this conversation, and you're like listening and responding with your own thoughts, and we're having like an open communication about it. But like, one of the things that I think made me and Preston like really good friends really fast is like, I am just fucking myself with him, and like I can tell him like, yo, I feel this way. I'm just a normal person trying to like understand the best version of myself that I can be without pretentiousness or dick measuring or like fear. I can be confident like in my conversation with him, that his genuine heart and soul and mind is going to deliver back something that like I need support on, and vice versa. And I think you need more of those people, because I think that that's some of the reason, dude, I
well,
was, very, very similar to you. My parents used to beat the crap out of me, all that kind of stuff. And I get where you're coming from. And I wanted to be a billionaire. I wanted all these things. When I found, when I found myself in peace and things, I realized that all I wanted was to be seen. And
Yeah,
once I saw
once you
myself,
got all that money, and Los has the friends of success. That's when we met, because I started to get everything I had prayed for, and I was like, bro, what? I was like, this is a psyop. Like, were we psyoped into like thinking that like what happened, that we wanted all of
Well,
this and now
I
we
think
have
I
it,
think
you
I
know?
think I'm kind of saying the same thing somewhat, in the sense of like how I'm viewing it is like meaninglessness can be like, you can either view it as not super nihilistic and like, oh my god, nothing matters except what I give matter to, and that sucks. Or you can view it like pretty existential, like, oh my god, nothing matters but what I make matter. And I think like that's helped me personally when it comes to trauma and getting past a lot of things. It's like, holy shit, it literally doesn't matter unless I make it matter. Like, oh, all the pain, all the tragic shit that's happened, it doesn't fucking matter unless I like make it matter. Otherwise it's just is what it is, just like
Yeah.
it's life.
You know
um
what? If we had Chadwick from yesterday in here, this is exactly what he would say. He would say, you guys are forgetting that you're using English language to describe human existence, and English language was created by man, and the word itself, meaningless, is defined by a series of words that are also defined by a series of words,
that we give
and
meaning to.
that we give meaning to, and therefore you really only understand 3% of human existence. So any noises that come out of your mammal mouth would never be able to conceptualize the idea you're trying to portray. That's what he would say. And when you get that far, dude,
See,
it's fucked,
I
and you
get
don't
that.
want.
I get that, but I also understand like, I don't know, like Jesus was the like word of God supposedly, right? Or like what it like there I do think in some aspect like Kanye West with his music. I honestly think music is better than like just like speaking to
Yeah, music
somebody.
and art is like the meaning of
Yeah.
life.
Yeah, kind of, because like you can like a picture has 1,000 words, like that, literally just that saying, like you can put together a bunch of words, but like experiencing life itself is like the most important thing. But it's not like words have meaning. If you can put these meanings together in a like Eminem or like any artist in a meaningful, like in a way that other people find meaningful and other people can resonate with. I think that's the thing, resonate, because you're building a resonant frequency and somewhat of like an egregore. And hopefully, if you're an artist, you're making an egregore of positive thought and not negative thought into the world, because that's when things start getting destructive. And you look at most of these artists who were putting negative thought in the world, and most of them are fucking dead. I know because I listen to all of them. And it's like I think that's extremely important, for sure. Like, is just like resonate at your frequency. Find what your frequency is, like that fits you, and then resonate with it. Like because everyone's different. We're all different human beings, and that's kind of like how I feel with like the like my personal like wanting to be remembered. It's like I that was like my dream when I was like 10. Like it's like I want to fucking just give my all, like in everything I do. That's really what it comes down to, is I want to be as present, as like alive all the time as possible. And people be like, you can't be like that, you need to rest, you like, I despise people who come at me with saying I'm tired. I hate that word more than anything. Like I think it's like that comes down to like the meaning thing, how we've given words meaning and what they like stand for in our subconscious. It's like when you are projecting that in the world, you are like putting that into your conscious instead of putting like that you need to get more sleep, or saying like stupid shit like I'm broke. You need to say I should be getting more money, like. And I do think
Mhm.
what you project into this, like, we don't really understand this like quantum reality still, right? Like everybody's figuring it out. Nobody really knows. Like in some aspect within that, I think like that's important, is what you project into, like what your input is going to 100% define your output. So my input is always going to be the best I have, and I think wanting to be remembered, wanting to make a name for myself, or just like become something more than I can be as just like a man, like literally on that Batman arc, is like that's what matters to me, is I want to push as far as I can to become the best version of myself. And what that means has changed to me over time, the best version of me. Like you asked me, like maybe 4 years ago, I'm like going off to college, getting heartbroken. I'm like, oh, I want to go like talk to girls and like be a rock star and all this whatever. And it's like, and I've gone down the path. I've walked the walk, but at a certain point, you get to a like, I none of that shit matters. Like none of that shit matters. Money doesn't fucking matter. Really, nothing really matters except that. What he was saying, Los, was fucking presence. Like presence is everything. Just being present with everyone
If
around you.
presence is the only thing that matters, though, wouldn't you argue then? You said that you're trying to be that, trying wouldn't be correct in that actively right now in the present moment you are that person because you were here on a space where not many people are. You took initiative and you're talking and you're being exactly what you're describing what you want to be because present is the only thing that matters.
Yo, I fuck with you, Preston. You
Am
right?
I right?
You right? You low key right?
That could probably be put into a math equation to like without bias, honestly.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. I ain't gonna lie.
Because that's how far I went with trying to self remember, and I had that realization one time when I went to the sandwich store, and I was first time like without my phone. I left the house in a minute, like because I'm a sim, right? I'm so
Bro, you're
living in
so
this
right.
world.
Holy shit.
And yeah, so I leave without my phone, and I start realizing I'm getting anxious that I'm in the store, and for some reason there's negative egregore around fucking the sandwich shop, and I realized that there is no past at all. That the past is literally now subconsciously dictating the egregore of the exact actions I'm going to be taking that dictate to like my emotions in this store, even though the past doesn't exist. So theoretically like every single second is evolving, like that's the actually only thing that matters. So I can change my entire personality, way I perceive things, the way I look at everything, if I can just eliminate the idea of the future and the past by conceptualizing it's non-existent, literally non-existent. So therefore, yeah, anything that you say you're trying, whatever, like that's right now, right? Even when you just said that 15, that's now like in a non-existent plane, so uh it's hard to lock that thought in of what we've now conceptualized like permanently, and it took me, you saying that, like a month of not remembering this to finally remember it again. But I think that's extremely important, is the aspect of um, even the fantasies of who we are telling ourselves that we want to become, like, is reliant upon the fact that like the future exists. And as someone mentioned Ben Bader the other day, he had so many things that he wanted to do and many things he wanted to become. He's from Cincinnati, Ohio. My mom like knows his family and everything, and his life was ended short, unfortunately. And it was a big like red pill for everyone, or not red pill, but black pill for everyone in the internet money space, because they realized that uh, that like the future is not promised, and that also at the same time, if you were smart enough, that the past is also non not there either. It's so yeah, man. I think that it's important that we realize we're right now spell
Well,
casting. It's called spell casting theoretically. What I
dude,
project doing this is essentially what then is mirrored back from you guys and also from myself.
I appreciate I can get with the spell casting, but I think it also like with Los, what Los was saying yesterday about like how you can lose yourself and shit like that. Um, I get that, but I somewhat I also think that's part of the process. You gotta fuck shit up a little bit. Like to really like learn yourself. Like you have to lose yourself to find yourself somewhat. Um,
Yeah,
and
yeah, you
the
have to.
the, the
There's no success without failure.
yeah, the more
And
times you lose yourself, the more times the more times you it's not about how many times you fall down like Rocky, it's about how many times you stand back up. Like
well, is it even really losing yourself, right? Whereas we're describing this in like metaphorical language,
oh,
something
bro,
like
you can straight up lose yourself. Like I I
lose, like, are you talking about like lose your sanity, or do you mean like metaphorically, like forget who you are?
low key both. I was probably spiritually on a bad path like a year and a half, maybe 2.5 years ago, a year and a half ago. And I did mushrooms with my girlfriend at the time. And bro, I literally forgot who I was for like a minute, like for that night. Like I was like, bro, who the fuck am I? Like I had to run through like what the fuck am I doing with my life? What the fuck is like how am I at this point? How did I get here? Like all of the like I had not tracked my discipline and I had let myself get to I think it was like I don't think mushrooms are a bad thing. I think the mushrooms that's fine. Like moments like that are important for growth. Um but I think like overall, like I wasn't like as conscious as I should have been, and it made me kind of lose, yeah, myself. And I think also in certain aspects of that, like it like brought down the ego, so I could see like holy shit where I was fucking up here and like all the mistakes I was making without like that I wasn't realizing. And I think like those moments where you're on the fucking floor, like everything's fucking hurting and you're just begging to fucking God for like something. Like I think those are the most important moments of your life. Um
Of course, yes.
and it's
What
not
is life
about
without that?
yeah, it's not about not like falling on the skateboard. It's about learning to fucking skate. It's about learning to surf the waves, the surf the Kali Yuga per se. Um so that's really just the main mission, bro. Is just keep on surfing.
Yeah, and no one has the full answers, but I think yeah, I also believe the best times are when I am talking to other people too. So it's completely normal to like engage in active conversation, or else you will also kind of suffer with identity and everything. But yeah, that's why one of the reasons I want to do this space, why Los and I want to do a space, why Josh is motivated to do a space. We're all here to improve ourselves and decide to partake in active suffering. And yeah, there's you could call this productive. You could uh, say that this is very helpful for all of us. And yeah, man,
Lois, how you doing? Is he there?
who I don't.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm good, man.
He, yeah,
I'm good.
Los. He has the wisdom. He's uh, got a lot of life experience.
Yeah, I appreciate input. I like to listen. I'm good at listening,
No,
I
I
think.
think dude. I really like. I'm serious. Like, I really appreciate your level of uh conversation we were able to have because I've talked to a lot of people about a lot of things and like, bro, you didn't even hesitate. You're just like, no, I just have these. Very calm about all of it and all that. And I never meant anything in a negative way. I'm just trying to, you know, I I speak from a place of like I feel you, bro. And like I know what you're saying, but I also know why you're saying it. And I'm just trying to, time collapse the opportunity of you being able to move forward with the best version of yourself as fast and as best as possible. If there's any possibility that I could support that, that's what I want to do.
The opportunity cost of time is like the most important thing, right? So I appreciate it, bro.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
And
man.
I'd say to finish this off, I also believe taking breaks is extremely important too. And like we've all exerted a lot of life force and energy over the last couple hours. So, I appreciate everyone coming in here um, and talking and giving their, opinions and all that. But yeah, well, let's all get to bed and have a great start to the week.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Preston.
If you guys can
Absolutely,
share
boss.
this and let people know we're going to continue to do these, man, we want to you want to continue to create relationships with people and do more. But yeah, we'll see you guys next week, man.
Thank you, Los. Have a good night.
Y'all have a beautiful night. Bye.